The explosion erased everyone from the Mafia boss's mind, except Nurse Elara. A broken silver pendant revealed why. Dante was Daniel, the man she had loved 5 years ago. But the father who separated them now ordered her to kill him with one injection. Would she obey her father, or save the man he had already stolen from her once? At 3:11 in the morning, 6 men were trying to keep Dante Valenti from killing a 7th. One guard lay crumpled against the wall, another was bleeding from the mouth, and a male nurse was clutching a wrist that no longer sat at the right angle. Dante had ripped both restraints from the hospital bed. The half-healed incision along his shaved temple had opened slightly. His breathing came in savage bursts, and his eyes saw none of the people standing in room 717. To his damaged brain, this was not a hospital. The red emergency light was fire. The metal crash cart was an overturned car. Every man in a dark suit was one of the masked attackers who had murdered his father in front of him. "Back away," Dr. Mercer shouted, filling a syringe with a powerful sedative. If he keeps fighting, he could trigger another brain bleed. Dante caught a guard by the throat and lifted him until his shoes scraped uselessly against the floor. Nico Rinaldi grabbed Dante's arm. "Boss, look at me!" "It's Nico. You're in the hospital." Dante did not recognize the man who had protected him for 12 years. He threw Nico into a medication cabinet hard enough to crack the glass. The guard in his hand began to turn blue. Then the door opened, and Nurse Elara Quinn stepped inside. She wore plain navy scrubs. Her dark brown hair was tied at the nape of her neck, and fear was visible in her face, even though her voice remained steady. "Everyone move away from him." Dr. Mercer spun toward her. "Nurse Quinn, get out. He will kill you." Elara did not look at the doctor. She stopped several feet from Dante and said his name. "Dante." He did not become calm at once. His shoulders jerked. His fingers remained locked around the guard's throat, but his eyes moved to Elara's face, and something inside him changed. He stared at her as though she were standing not in a hospital room, but inside a memory his injured brain had been desperately trying to find. The rage did not disappear. The confusion did not disappear. Yet his grip slowly loosened. The guard fell to the floor, coughing for air. Dante stepped backward, never taking his eyes off Elara. His lips moved. "You..." His voice was broken and rough. "You came back." Elara's heart seemed to stop. She did not understand why he had said it. Dante reached toward her face, but before his fingers touched her, his strength vanished, and he collapsed onto the mattress. Dr. Mercer rushed forward and pushed the sedative into his IV. Everyone in the room finally breathed, but Elara remained motionless, staring at the unconscious Mafia boss. Dante had not stopped because he had fallen in love with a stranger at first sight. His brain was too damaged, his mind too disordered, and his memories too shattered for anything that simple. He had stopped because Elara's face had reached the one part of his mind violence had not destroyed. Before the accident, Dante had loved a young woman with that same face. He believed he had lost her forever. What neither of them yet understood was that his damaged memory was not mistaken. Elara did not merely resemble the woman he had loved. She was the woman he had loved. 12 days earlier, Dante Valenti had been riding through a private tunnel beneath New York with his father, Vittorio Valenti. For 30 years, Vittorio had built the Valenti family into an empire that controlled shipping, construction, hotels, and powerful people across New York. Dante was his only surviving son, and had run most of the organization for 5 years. That night, however, he was arguing with his father. "Trusting Gabriel Voss is a mistake," Dante said. "He does not want a peace meeting. He wants us gathered in one place." Vittorio watched the tunnel lights pass across the window. Every war has to end eventually. A war ends when both sides want to survive. Voss wants to win. Vittorio turned toward him. "You see betrayal in every face." Dante's expression tightened. "I trusted a face once." Vittorio knew exactly whom he meant. 5 years earlier, Dante had briefly lived away from the family under the name Daniel Vale. After a violent dispute inside the organization, Vittorio had ordered him to disappear until the danger passed. During those months, Dante met a nursing student named Elara Quinn, who volunteered nights at a free clinic. He privately called her Lina, and she knew him only as Daniel. She knew nothing about his criminal family. With her, he imagined an ordinary life for the first time. Then Dante's older brother was murdered. Vittorio summoned him home, and command of the family fell onto his shoulders overnight. Dante told Elara he had to leave for a few days and promised he would return. When he came back, her apartment was empty. Her telephone number had been disconnected. The nursing school said she had transferred without leaving an address. Dante searched for months and sent letter after letter, but Elara was gone. He believed she had run from him, while Elara believed Daniel had abandoned her. Neither knew that Gabriel Voss, Elara's own father, had erased every path between them. Dante was about to answer Vittorio when an explosion struck beneath the lead security vehicle. Fire swallowed the tunnel ahead. Their driver hit the brakes, but a second blast tore through the pavement beneath the armored sedan. The car lifted, rolled twice, and crashed upside down. Dante's temple struck the reinforced window. There was only a shallow cut on his skin, but inside his skull, an artery had torn, and blood was rapidly compressing his brain. Vittorio hung trapped in his seatbelt. Dante fought to remain conscious. "Father," Vittorio opened his eyes. "Dante, get out!" Before Dante could free himself, masked men appeared outside the shattered window. One wore a black ring shaped like a winged wolf. Dante had seen that symbol among Gabriel Voss's men. The masked attacker looked into the car. "Kill the old man first." 2 shots entered the wreck. Vittorio's body jerked and went still. Dante roared and reached for the attacker, but pressure was crushing the right side of his brain. His vision doubled. His muscles no longer obeyed him. A weapon struck his temple again. "Leave the son alive," another voice said. "If he survives, his mind won't. Let him destroy his own empire for us." They wanted Dante alive, but broken, violent, and incapable of leading. By the time Valenti security reached the car, Vittorio was dead. Dante drifted between consciousness and delirium. In the ambulance, he tore off his oxygen mask, struck a paramedic, and repeatedly demanded to know where his father was. Because there was almost no external bleeding, the first responders suspected drugs or shock. At St. Catherine's Medical Center, Elara was nearing the end of a long trauma shift when armed men pushed Dante's stretcher into the emergency department. "Save him," Nico shouted. "Do whatever you have to do." Dr. Charles Mercer saw Dante thrashing against the straps. "Give him a heavy sedative. This may be cocaine or methamphetamine." Elara checked Dante's eyes. His right pupil was larger than the left. His blood pressure was rising while his heart rate slowed, and one side of his body was weakening. "This is not a drug reaction," she said. "He is bleeding inside his skull." Mercer glared at her. "Nurse Quinn, the physicians will make the diagnosis. If we wait for him to become unconscious, he will die." Dante suddenly grabbed her wrist. His grip was strong enough to whiten her fingers. Elara was afraid, but she did not pull away. "Can you hear my voice?" she asked. He looked at her through swelling, pain, and confusion. Recognition did not fully appear, but his grip weakened slightly. "What is your name?" she asked. He struggled to speak. His eyes rolled back and his body became rigid. Elara activated the neurological emergency code without waiting for Mercer's permission. The scan revealed a massive epidural hematoma and severe frontal lobe bruising. Neurosurgeon Miriam Sloan rushed Dante into surgery. 5 more minutes could have stopped his breathing. Surgery saved him, but it could not undo all the damage. Dr. Sloan spoke to Nico afterward. "He may survive, but when he wakes, he may be confused, violent, impulsive, and emotionally unstable. His personality may change. He may not recognize his own people. Some memories may return. Others may never return." Nico looked through the glass at the unconscious man. "He will recover." "This is not a question of willpower," Dr. Sloan said. "His brain is injured." Dante woke 2 days later and injured 3 people within the first minute. He believed he was still trapped in the tunnel. Dark suits became assassins. A closing door became the crushed car, and bright light became an explosion. If anyone touched him without warning, he attacked. Elara noticed something the others did not. Dante was not detached from reality every second. Sometimes understanding returned to his eyes. Then a sound, a smell, or an unexpected movement dragged him back into the attack. The first time Elara entered after his surgery, Dante raised his hand to strike her. He stopped before making contact. Her face reached a memory he could not name. Rain against a clinic window, cold fingers bandaging his knuckles, and a young woman beneath a red umbrella. He remembered only the feeling attached to her. Safety. That was why he did not hurt Elara. Some surviving part of him believed his lost love had returned. Elara assumed her voice had remained in his memory from before surgery. Every morning she checked room 717 before her other patients and knocked 3 times before entering. "Good morning, Dante. You are at St. Catherine's Medical Center. It is Tuesday. You survived. I am going to check your blood pressure." At first he only stared at her. Then one morning he asked, "First? What do you mean? You see me first?" Elara gave him a faint smile. "Yes, because you are my most difficult patient." That morning, he allowed her to check his blood pressure. The next day he accepted medicine from her hand, but knocked it from another nurse. Elara set a clear rule. "If you hit someone, I leave the room." Dante's eyes hardened. "Everyone hurts me. Protecting yourself from someone who is hurting you is one thing. Attacking every person who comes near you is another. You are afraid of me? Sometimes. Then why come back? Because you are not only violent, you are injured." Dante said nothing, but he did not strike anyone for the rest of that shift. On the 6th day, Elara discovered that the dose of his sedative had been doubled, even though Dr. Sloan had ordered it reduced. The new instruction appeared under Dr. Mercer's name. Elara called him. He denied writing it. She ran to room 717 and found a temporary nurse preparing to inject Dante's IV. "Stop." Elara caught her hand. "What is in that syringe?" "A sedative." The doctor ordered it. The label was crooked and the pharmacy code was wrong. When Elara said she would send it to the lab, the temporary nurse shoved her into the wall and escaped. The syringe contained a drug capable of causing hallucinations, paranoia, and violent delirium in a brain-injured patient. Someone wanted Dante to appear permanently insane so his organization would collapse. After that night, Elara returned even when she was off duty. She checked every medication seal, inspected his IV, and verified each order. Often, at 2 a.m, she sat beside his bed while Dante watched her through half-closed eyes. "You don't go home?" he asked one night. "I go home. Lie. Sometimes I leave late. To watch me. To check your medication." Dante looked toward the dark window. "You stayed awake at night before." Elara's hand stopped above the chart. "When did we meet before?" Dante closed his eyes. "Rain, a little room. Your hands were cold." A strange pressure formed in Elara's chest. 5 years earlier, she had volunteered nights at a free clinic while attending nursing school. One rainy evening, a man with injured knuckles introduced himself as Daniel Vale. Bandage changes became coffee became long walks, and long walks became love. Elara never told him the full truth about her father. Daniel never told her the truth about his family. One night Daniel said he had to leave for a few days and promised he would return. He never came back. The next morning, Gabriel forced Elara out of New York, changed her number, emptied her apartment, and transferred her school records. He told her Daniel had abandoned her. Elara tried to hate him, but she kept the silver pendant he had given her. Dante's words brought those memories back, but she told herself it was coincidence. His swollen face, shaved hair, and surgical scar looked nothing like the gentle Daniel Vale she remembered. "You are confused," she said. "We met for the first time before your surgery." Dante opened his eyes. "You are lying." "Why would I lie?" "Because you left before." Elara could not answer. The next morning, Nico brought a sealed box containing Dante's personal belongings from the tunnel. "The police released them," he said. Dante was in therapy, so Elara placed the box near his bed. On top lay a damaged watch, a wallet, and a broken chain. Attached to the chain was half of a small silver pendant. Elara went pale. It was identical to the other half she had kept for 5 years. Her fingers trembled as she turned it over. Tiny letters were engraved on the back. "Lina, always come back to me." The door opened. Dante returned from therapy. He saw the pendant in Elara's hand and stopped. Pain and confusion crossed his face. "Lina," he whispered. Tears filled Elara's eyes. "Daniel?" Dante grabbed his head as memories struck in broken flashes. A red umbrella, yellow clinic light. Elara laughing, her cold hand inside his, and her voice telling him to come back. His knees buckled. Elara caught him. For the first time, she was not looking at him only as a patient. She was looking at the man she had loved and spent 5 years believing had betrayed her. "You left," Dante said. No, Elara cried. My father took me away. He told me you never came back. Dante stared at her. I came back. Your apartment was empty. In that moment, they understood that their love had not ended naturally. Someone had ended it for them. They did not yet know that the man who separated them was also the man who had murdered Dante's father. That evening, Gabriel Voss summoned Elara to his penthouse. She arrived with the pendant hidden in her pocket. Gabriel stood beside a window holding a glass of wine. You knew Dante Valenti, Elara said. He did not turn. Every powerful man in New York knew him. He was Daniel Vale. Gabriel's shoulders tightened almost imperceptibly. Elara's suspicion became certainty. You knew. You took me away because of him. Gabriel set down the glass. I protected you. He did not abandon me. He came back. He was a Valenti. He could never have been safe for you. So you changed my number, emptied my apartment, transferred my school, and lied to me? Gabriel faced her without shame. You were my daughter. I was not going to let you become a path into my enemy's family. Did you order the tunnel attack? Silence lasted several seconds. Vittorio had to die. Elara stepped back. And Dante? Dante was not supposed to die. I wanted his brain damaged. I wanted the Valenti Empire to collapse beneath a mad leader. But you saved him. Nausea rose in Elara's throat. The false medication orders were yours. You kept interfering with my work. Gabriel opened a drawer and removed a sealed syringe. Now you will finish it. Elara stared at the clear liquid. What is that? A concentrated dose that will stop his heart within seconds. The doctors will blame complications from the brain injury. I am a nurse. I will not murder a patient. Gabriel stepped closer. He is not simply a patient. He is Dante Valenti. If he recovers, he will avenge his father. He will kill me, and he will pull you into his violent world. You murdered his father. I protected my family. You kept me inside a lie for 5 years. Gabriel's face became hard. He placed the syringe in Elara's hand and closed her fingers around it. Tomorrow night you will administer his medication. Put this into his IV. Elara tried to pull away. And if I refuse? Gabriel's eyes turned cold. Then I will never forgive you. I will destroy your career, your reputation, and everything you have built. I will tell the world you betrayed your own father for a mafia killer. You are my daughter, Elara. You will choose your blood, or you will choose him. At 2:57 the following night, Elara stood outside room 717 with Gabriel's lethal syringe in her pocket. Dante was asleep inside, his face less swollen now, Daniel Vale slowly becoming visible beneath the injuries and scars. He was the man she had once loved, the man her father had stolen from her. Elara entered and quietly closed the door. She removed the syringe. Dante's IV line rested only inches from her hand. Gabriel's warning repeated inside her mind. If you do not kill him, I will never forgive you. Tears filled her eyes as she removed the cap. At that moment, Dante opened his eyes. He was not fully alert, but he recognized her. He reached weakly toward her. Lina, he whispered, do not leave me again. Elara stood beside the bed with the injection that could stop his heart in one hand, and the memory of the man she had never truly stopped loving in the other. Her phone vibrated inside her pocket. She did not need to read the message to know who had sent it, but she looked anyway. Do it now, I am watching. Her eyes moved toward the smoke detector above the door. A tiny red light blinked behind its plastic cover. It was not part of the hospital's fire system. Gabriel had placed a hidden camera inside room 7117, and somewhere outside the hospital, Elara's father was watching his daughter prepare to murder the man she had once loved. Dante's weak hand remained extended toward her. Lina, he whispered again. Please don't leave. Elara looked at the syringe in her hand. One push of the plunger would send concentrated potassium into his bloodstream. His heart would begin beating irregularly within seconds. Then it would stop. Everyone would blame the brain injury, the surgery, or one of the many medications already inside his body. Her father had planned it perfectly. But he had forgotten one thing. Elara was a nurse before she was Gabriel Voss's daughter. She stepped closer to the bed and leaned over Dante as though she were preparing to inject the medication. Listen carefully, she whispered, keeping her back between the hidden camera and her hands. You have to trust me. Dante's eyes searched her face. His damaged mind was still struggling to separate the hospital from the tunnel, but one truth remained clear inside it. He trusted her. "I always did," he murmured. Elara's throat tightened. She lowered the lethal syringe beneath the blanket and slipped it into the sleeve of her scrubs. With her other hand, she removed an ordinary saline flush from her pocket. From the camera's angle, the syringes looked identical. She connected the harmless flush to Dante's IV. "This will not hurt you," she whispered. Dante watched her push the saline into the line. Elara then disconnected one of the monitor cables. The steady rhythm on the screen vanished, replaced by a long, flat line. The alarm began screaming. Dante flinched at the sound, but Elara caught his face between her hands. "Stay still. Keep your eyes closed. Are you leaving?" "No. Promise?" "I promise." His eyes closed. Elara looked toward the hidden camera and forced her face to remain expressionless. She took out her phone and typed one sentence. "It is done." Gabriel answered almost immediately. "Good girl." The words made something inside her turn cold. For 5 years, she had carried the pain of believing Daniel Vale had abandoned her. In less than 24 hours, she had discovered that he had returned, searched for her, and written letters she had never received. Her father had stolen those years from them, murdered Dante's father, arranged the tunnel attack, and poisoned Dante's recovery. Now he was praising her for becoming exactly what he wanted. A murderer. Elara slipped the lethal syringe into a sealed specimen bag and pushed it beneath Dante's pillow. The door opened less than 30 seconds later. A man wearing gray hospital scrubs entered with an empty transport stretcher. Elara had worked at St. Catherine's for 3 years, but she had never seen him before. His identification badge was turned backward. "What are you doing here?" she asked. The man looked at the flat monitor. "Transferring the body. No physician has pronounced him dead. Mr. Voss wants confirmation." Elara's blood went cold. The man locked the door behind him. He moved toward Dante and pressed 2 fingers against the side of his neck. Dante's pulse beat beneath them. The man's eyes lifted slowly toward Elara. "You did not give him the injection." Elara reached for the emergency button, but he grabbed her hair and threw her against the medication cabinet. Her head struck the glass. Pain flashed across her skull, and blood filled her mouth where her teeth cut the inside of her lip. The man pulled a second syringe from his pocket. "You should have obeyed your father." He reached for Dante's IV. Dante's eyes opened. For 1 second, he looked like a helpless patient awakening from sedation. Then he saw the pain on Elara's face. Something violent ignited behind his eyes. His hand closed around the stranger's wrist. The man tried to pull away, but Dante twisted until bone cracked. The syringe fell to the floor. Dante dragged the man across the bed and slammed him into the wall. The attacker reached beneath his scrubs for a pistol. Dante struck him again. And again. The man collapsed, but Dante continued hitting him. The tunnel had returned. In his mind, the stranger was no longer lying unconscious on a hospital floor. He was one of the masked men standing beside Vittorio's body. "Dante!" He did not stop. Elara caught his face and forced him to look at her. "Daniel." The name reached him when nothing else could. His fist stopped in the air. Elara held his gaze. "He cannot hurt me now." Dante looked down at the unconscious attacker. Then he looked at Elara's injured lip. "He touched you. I am alive. I should kill him. No, you should choose to stop." His breathing remained savage, but after several agonizing seconds, he lowered his hand. It was the first time he had stopped himself in the middle of an attack. The lights went out. The monitor, ceiling lamps, and hallway lights died at once. Red emergency lights flickered to life, washing the room in the color of fire. Gunfire echoed from the corridor. Elara pulled the specimen bag from beneath Dante's pillow and placed it inside her pocket. The door burst open. Nico entered with 2 loyal guards. A dark stain covered the shoulder of his suit. "Voss's men control the elevators," he said. "They cut the backup generator for this floor. We have to use the service stairs." Elara removed Dante's IV and helped him stand. His legs shook beneath him. "I can walk," he growled. "You can barely stand." "I said I can walk. And I said you are going to hold the wall." Dante looked ready to argue, but another burst of gunfire sounded outside. Elara wrapped his arm across her shoulders. Nico saw the injury on her face. Did he hurt you? I am fine. Gabriel gave me a lethal injection for Dante. I saved it as evidence. Nico's expression changed. Your father ordered this? He ordered the tunnel attack too. The words struck Dante like another explosion. He gripped his head. Images tore through him in broken flashes. Fire filling the tunnel, Vittorio hanging upside down, the black-winged wolf ring, and a voice ordering his father's death. Voss, he whispered. Elara stepped in front of him. Stay with me. He killed my father. Yes, I will kill him. Not tonight. Tonight we survive. Dante stared at her, struggling against the rage moving through his injured brain. You are Lina. Yes. You did not leave me. No. My father took me away. The truth seemed to hurt him more deeply than the wound on his head. I came back for you. I know that now. Nico opened the door. They entered the service corridor. Smoke rolled across the ceiling. One of Nico's guards moved ahead, checking each corner. The other remained behind them. They had nearly reached the stairwell when the guard at the rear suddenly raised his gun. He shot Nico's other man in the back. Nico turned, but the traitor fired again. The bullet struck Nico's side and sent him against the wall. Elara screamed. 3 masked attackers emerged from the stairwell. Dante pushed Elara behind him, but he was weak, unsteady, and still affected by medication. One attacker struck him across the head with a metal baton. He fell to one knee. Another man aimed his weapon at Elara. Move again, he warned Dante, and she dies. Dante froze. The attackers knew exactly how to control him. They did not need stronger restraints. They only needed Elara. Put your hands behind your back, the man ordered. Dante obeyed. Elara stared at him. Do not do this. His eyes never left hers. They will shoot you. Metal cuffs closed around his wrists. The traitorous guard injected something into Dante's neck. His body swayed. Elara, he said as his knees struck the floor. She tried to reach him, but someone pressed a chemical-soaked cloth over her mouth. The last thing she heard before darkness took her was Dante shouting the name he had carried through 5 years of separation. Lina! When Elara opened her eyes, she was tied to an old medical chair. Her wrists were secured behind her with plastic restraints. Her head felt heavy, and every breath carried the smell of dust, mold, and antiseptic. Then she recognized the room. It was the abandoned free clinic where she had met Daniel Vale. The walls had once been pale yellow. Now the paint was cracked and peeling. The examination bed where she had bandaged his knuckles remained against the wall. The window where they had once watched rainfall was covered with wooden boards. Gabriel had turned the place where she first fell in love into an execution chamber. He stood near the examination table, wearing a dark suit and the winged wolf ring. 6 armed men surrounded him. You brought me here deliberately, Elara said. Gabriel faced her. I wanted you to remember what your disobedience began. My disobedience? If you had listened to me 5 years ago, Dante Valenti would have remained a stranger. None of this would be happening. You never gave me a choice. I gave you protection. You gave me a lie. Gabriel walked closer. I discovered Daniel's identity 1 week after you met him. Vittorio's son was spending his nights with my daughter under a false name. What was I supposed to believe? That he loved me. He was a Valenti, and I was a Voss. Neither of us knew. Blood always knows. Elara shook her head. No, you knew. Then you controlled both of us. Gabriel's jaw tightened. I saved you from becoming part of his world. You erased my life. You changed my number, emptied my apartment, and forced me out of New York. And I intercepted every letter he sent. Elara stopped breathing. Letters? Gabriel smiled without warmth. 47 of them. Pain tightened around her chest. What did they say? The first ones asked where you had gone. Then he began begging. By the final letter, he offered to abandon the Valenti name, the organization, and his inheritance if you would come back. Tears filled Elara's eyes. For years, she had imagined Daniel forgetting her without effort. She had hated him because hating him hurt less than waiting for him. But he had waited too. You burned them, she whispered. Everyone. You stole 5 years from us. I prevented a disaster. You created one. A vehicle stopped outside. Gabriel glanced toward the door. He is here. 2 men entered, dragging Dante between them. His hands were secured behind his back. A new bruise darkened the skin near his temple. He could barely walk, but the moment he saw Elara tied to the chair, he attacked. He drove one shoulder into the man on his left and nearly broke free before 4 guards forced him onto the old examination table. Thick leather restraints closed around his wrists, ankles, and chest. One of the guards punched him in the stomach. Dante folded around the blow, but his eyes remained on Elara. I came, he said. Her tears spilled over. You should not have. You said you would not leave. That did not mean you had to surrender your life. Gabriel laughed softly. The most feared man in New York walked willingly into chains because a nurse asked him not to leave. Your father would be disgusted. Dante looked at Gabriel's ring. His face changed. Tunnel. Gabriel raised his hand so the symbol caught the light. The last thing Vittorio saw. Dante pulled against the restraint so violently that the table moved across the floor. I will kill you. Gabriel leaned close. Your father said your name before he died. Dante's rage became almost inhuman. Elara shouted over the sound of the restraints. Daniel, look at me. He turned toward her. Do not let him put you back inside that tunnel. Gabriel's expression hardened. Even now you try to repair him. He is injured. You are cruel by choice. Gabriel struck Elara across the face. Dante roared. The leather around one wrist began to tear. Gabriel removed a metal case from his coat and opened it. Inside lay another syringe filled with clear liquid. He placed it on a tray beside Elara. I could shoot him, Gabriel said. But that would be too easy. I want him to understand what choosing you cost him. He cut the restraints around Elara's wrists and pulled her to her feet. 2 guards seized her arms. Gabriel placed the syringe in her hand. This dose will stop his heart. Elara did not close her fingers around it. No, Gabriel forced her hand shut. You will inject him. No. His voice dropped. If you refuse, I will never forgive you. You will no longer be my daughter. I will destroy your career, your name, and everyone who helped you. Your mother betrayed me and it killed her. Do not make the same mistake. Elara stared at him. What do you mean it killed her? Gabriel's face remained still, but his silence answered her. The car accident, Elara whispered. You said the Valentis caused it. Your mother was taking evidence to federal agents. Vittorio's people were following us, but she caused the crash when she tried to take control of the wheel. She was trying to escape you. She was betraying her family. You killed her. Her disloyalty killed her. Something inside Elara finally broke free. For years, Gabriel's approval had controlled her even from a distance. Part of her had remained the frightened girl who believed losing her father's love meant losing her identity. Now she understood that his love had always been another weapon. Elara looked at the syringe. Then she looked at Dante. I will not kill him. Gabriel's voice turned cold. Then I will never forgive you. Elara raised her eyes. I do not need the forgiveness of a man who murdered my mother. She dropped the syringe. Before Gabriel could react, she crushed it beneath her shoe. Glass shattered. The drug spread across the floor. Gabriel struck her. Dante tore one wrist free. The leather restraint snapped, and the metal buckle flew across the room. He caught the nearest guard by the throat and dragged him onto the table. Another man raised a pistol, but Elara shoved his arm upward. The gun fired into the ceiling. Dante ripped the remaining restraint from his chest and attacked. He was injured, drugged, and barely able to stand, but rage made him terrifying. He struck one man, took his weapon, and used it to knock another attacker aside. A guard fell unconscious, yet Dante continued hitting him. Dante, stop! Elara shouted. He is no longer a threat. His fist hovered above the man's face. For a moment, the madness fought against her voice. Then Dante stepped away. Gabriel pulled a pistol from beneath his jacket and fired. Dante moved in front of Elara. The bullet entered beneath his right shoulder and threw him backward. No! Elara caught him before he fell. Gabriel aimed again. Dante surged forward, despite the blood spreading beneath the shoulder of his hospital gown. He knocked the weapon away and drove Gabriel into the wall. His hand closed around Gabriel's throat. Gabriel struggled, but Dante's grip tightened. Do it, Gabriel gasped. Avenge your father. Show her what you really are. Dante's face became empty. He was no longer in the clinic. He was back in the tunnel, kneeling beside Vittorio's body. His fingers tightened. Gabriel's face began turning dark. Elara approached slowly. Dante. He did not respond. She placed one hand over his fingers. Daniel. His eyes moved toward her. If you kill him now, he still controls what you become. He murdered my father. I know. He murdered your mother. I know. He took 5 years from us. I know. He deserves to die. Maybe he does, but you deserve to choose who you are when the anger is gone. Dante looked at Gabriel, then at Elara. His grip slowly opened. Gabriel collapsed to the floor, coughing violently. Dante stepped back. I am not sparing you because you deserve it, he said. I am sparing you because she asked me to remember I am still a man. Gabriel's hand moved toward the fallen pistol. He seized it and aimed at Elara. A shot exploded through the room. Gabriel's weapon dropped. A bullet had struck his shoulder. Nico stood in the broken doorway with a pistol in his hand. Behind him were loyal Valenti guards and federal agents wearing tactical gear. The bullet that had struck Nico at the hospital had passed through his side without hitting an organ. He had remained conscious long enough to activate the tracking signal hidden inside Dante's hospital identification band. Gabriel stared at Elara as agents forced him onto the floor and handcuffed him. I will never forgive you, he said again. Elara knelt beside Dante and pressed both hands against his wound. I stopped needing your forgiveness the moment you asked me to become a murderer. Gabriel was dragged away. Dante's weight collapsed against her. Blood spread beneath her hands. Stay with me, she said. His eyes struggled to remain open. I did not kill him. I know. I wanted to. But you stopped. Because you asked. No. Because you chose. His breathing weakened. You really are Lina. Yes. You did not leave me. Never by choice. This time I am staying. A faint smile touched his lips. Then his eyes closed. The ambulance reached St. Catherine's Medical Center in 11 minutes. The bullet had missed Dante's heart and lung, but it had torn an artery near his shoulder. He lost so much blood that his heart stopped once on the operating table. Elara stood outside surgery wearing his blood across her clothes. 3 hours later, Dr. Sloan emerged. He survived. Elara covered her mouth. But the new trauma may affect his recovery, Dr. Sloan continued. We will not know how much memory he retained until he wakes. Dante remained unconscious for 2 days. When Elara was finally allowed into his room, she approached the bed slowly. His eyes opened. For several seconds, he stared at her without expression. Fear tightened inside her. Then he glanced toward the clock. You are late. Elara laughed and cried at the same time. I am not your nurse anymore. First? Yes, you are still first. He extended his hand. She placed hers inside it. I do not remember everything, he said. The tunnel comes in pieces. The clinic comes in pieces, but you are clear. The rest may return. And if it does not, then we make new memories. Recovery took months. Dante still had headaches, violent nightmares, and moments when bright light carried him back into the explosion. Sometimes anger arrived before reason. Elara gave him one rule. Before touching anyone in anger, he had to take 5 breaths. During the first month, he broke 2 chairs. By the 4th, a guard startled him from behind, and Dante closed his fists, took 5 breaths, and walked away. Elara formally withdrew from his medical care before their relationship continued. She refused to become another person who controlled his decisions while he was vulnerable. She visited as Elara, not Nurse Quinn. They spoke about the years stolen from them. Dante told her about the 47 letters. Elara brought the matching half of the silver pendant from her apartment. When the 2 pieces were joined, they formed a small circle. Gabriel Voss was convicted of Vittorio's murder, the tunnel attack, attempted murder, hospital sabotage, kidnapping, and the death of Elara's mother. The lethal syringe, false medication orders, surveillance recordings, and testimony from his own men destroyed every defense he attempted. During his final meeting with Elara before sentencing, Gabriel said, "You abandoned your blood for an enemy." Elara stood. Blood does not make someone family. Family does not demand that you kill to earn love. She walked out without looking back. 1 year after the tunnel attack, Dante brought Elara to the restored free clinic where they had first met. The broken walls had been repaired. New medical equipment filled the rooms. A sign above the entrance read, "The Quinn Valenti Night Clinic. Free trauma care for anyone who needs it." Dante stopped beside the window where they had once watched rain fall together. "The first time I met you, I lied about my name," he said. "The second time, my brain could not remember it. Today I know exactly who I am." Elara waited. "I am Dante Valenti. I have done things I cannot erase. My recovery is not finished. There may be days when my mind takes me back to the tunnel. I cannot promise I will never break again." He took a small velvet box from his pocket. "But I can promise that when I break, I will ask for help instead of hurting the people around me." Inside the box was a ring beside their joined pendant. "5 years ago, someone took our choice from us. Today, I am giving it back to you. Will you choose a life with me?" Elara looked at the man the city had called insane. He was not the gentle Daniel exactly as she remembered him, and he was no longer the ruthless Dante he had been before the attack. He was both of them. Wounded, dangerous, healing, and finally honest. "Yes," she said, "but I will never belong beneath you." Dante's real smile returned, the one she remembered from the clinic. "You will stand beside me. Always." He placed the ring on her finger. Then he waited for her permission before kissing her. Elara closed the distance herself. The world believed Dante Valenti had spared one nurse because his damaged brain mistook her for someone from his past. The truth was far more powerful. He had recognized her before memory gave him her name. His mind had forgotten his empire, his men, and even his own father's face. But it remembered the only woman who had ever made him feel safe. Elara saved Dante from the blood trapped inside his skull. Then she saved him from the monster his enemies wanted his pain to create. And Dante gave Elara something her father had denied her for most of her life: the freedom to choose whom she loved. Because real love does not demand murder as proof of loyalty. Real love is the voice that reaches you through madness, grief, and darkness, and reminds you to lower your hands before you become someone you can never return from.